And here we are again with game 2 of our week 4 matches. We've got Super Sentai Z versus Bradthechaddydaddy. And this matchup in particular should be pretty interesting. Last time, we saw um, Reckless do some pretty interesting things with his team, and interesting, I mean bad. So hopefully this time his team is a little bit better. We see him with the Blissey. He didn't bring it last time and just got absolutely destroyed by special attackers.
Yeah, Blissey really solidifies your team on the special defense side, and again, it foils so well with the Altaria. The question for Reckless is who's his Mega Pokemon? But notably for Brad, very interestingly, he's got the Absol as his only Mega.
Ooh, no Gardevoir this
Mm-hmm.
week.
Yeah, we have not seen him use Mega Absol yet. He has been switching around playing with his Megas, doing some Mega Aggron, of course, some Gardevoir at the start, and now going into the Absol.
Well, looking at Reckless's Pokemon, you see the Gengar over there, and that is really what is okay. The thing is Gengar is really your only special attacker here. So
Yeah.
kind of an interesting lineup there from Reckless.
Also looking at Reckless's team, those final two Pokemon, may they be the Megas or not, that's scary for Mega Absol seeing two strong fighters.
And a great start here for Brad. He led with the Pokemon in Crobat to be able to taunt the Fortress to prevent the rocks. He was then able to swap to the Sableye, but the Volt Switch on the Fortress was great counter there by Reckless to allow him for a good swap into this Sableye.
Yeah, knowing Brad that is a typical taunter. I'm curious though why he decided to go with the Crobat taunt as opposed to just leading with this typical Sableye having that priority taunt.
Oh yeah, I forgot that
And
Clefable has
please,
Magic Guard. Oh.
and interestingly enough, this Heracross here is wearing a choice scarf. One of its abilities is Swords Dance. I think this is a pretty big oversight here by Reckless. Maybe rushing his team together. He was out of town, so I'll give him some credit there. But the burn is huge, and he uses a fighting move into the ghost Pokemon. You got to use your bug move into the dark, and this is already looking really bad for Reckless.
Yeah, Sableye showing that it also does have the taunt there. Reckless, assuming that it's going to happen, going for the Volt Switch again. He's got that part of his play down. Let's see who he swaps into to deal with the Sableye, though.
Yeah, I think the Heracross on the choice scarf with sword stance just is really rough there, and I'm not sure. Looking at Brad's lineup, why are you pressing close combat at all? The only Pokemon close combat is good against is Absol, and no one would swap Absol into a fighter bug. Pretty big oversight there by Reckless. I think that could swing the match just like that.
Yeah, we
So,
see the Gengar coming in off the Volt Switch.
and this Gengar does not have the ability, or is not running Dazzling Gleam. So that's pretty big there. And we see the Shadow Ball into there, and the knockoff would have killed there, and there it does kill. It does extra damage, knocking off the item. So this is big here. Heracross coming back out, and I think we're going to see hopefully Megahorn here. And he goes for the Earthquake, which does a lot, but again, you have bug moves. What? I don't know what you're doing here. He's now locked into Earthquake with the Scarf, and there's the Crobat allowing him the free swap into the Earthquake. Reckless is really just, again, needs to slow down a bit here. Kind of think about what attacks he wants to use, because that Megahorn would have been huge there.
Oh, and Crobat showing its physical prowess, cutting deep into the Blissey with a big Brave Bird.
Yeah, that Brave Bird hit really hard. Blissey does have Soft Boil, but it's not going to be enough. And the taunt is really good there. And he brought the same Altaria as last time. It will probably be better against Brad than it was in his previous match. But he fought a Fairy in a previous match, and Dragon Claw was his only attacking move. Same situation here.
even with that, this Altaria we know has a bunch of setup moves, and those taunts just not allowing it to get going as far as momentum. It's just having to kind of beat into this Crobat.
And it
Now, though,
finally
he's
gets a
able to
move
get a
off.
defense buff.
And that's a huge defense buff there because the Crobat will now not be able to chip into that 53% HP over the time it needs to put another roost down. So I think he's going to have to swap here, giving Reckless a... oh, and he doesn't swap, and Reckless might be able to roost here. And he does roost and goes all the way back up. This is huge. I think Brad might have been expecting a swap there for some reason, but Brad needs to get this Crobat out, and he does into the Vaporeon.
Yeah, I think that was a clear taunt or swap. I like the taunt, just stopping it from being able to do anything, and then just kill it with someone else.
Yeah, I'm not sure, and I don't understand why Reckless decided to swap there. That was a pretty decent matchup.
Probably afraid of the Ice Beam from a Vaporeon. His Altaria, I would assume, is more defensively invested as well.
It is, but Vaporeon is not a fast Pokemon. You could have pressed Roost and protected yourself.
Yeah, dropping that ×4 to a ×2.
And a Thunder Wave, actually not going to be that great against Sableye because Prankster will bypass the paralysis. But that 30% hits there, and it's huge because it allows the Blissey to heal back up.
Yeah, I almost would have liked to have seen the Blissey go for some forward momentum with potentially a Seismic Toss.
So there it frees up the Scarf. So now Reckless can actually press Swords Dance. This is actually kind of funny here. Because if he oh, and there is the burn back onto him. He hits Mega Horn, and there it is! It just kills it! He could have done that, and it's burned too, and it killed it through it. I mean, this is why you know what your Pokemon do, people. Mega Horn is extremely powerful, over 100 power, and it allows him to essentially one-shot that Sableye even through a burn.
Heracross into that Sucker Punch range. Potentially could see some antics if its Sash gets knocked off again and he can Sword Stance to try and burn all of the Sucker Punches.
And this is the matchup, actually, that Brad wanted here, because he has the ability to just press Sucker Punch. Now, the Medicham, though, on the other side, has Fake Out, so we could see that as kind of a kickoff, because that is faster than Sucker Punch. Yep, there's the Fake Out. Huge damage. So you want to go ahead and swap your Medicham out to somebody who's going to be using a setup move of some kind to force him to press Sucker Punch again. And it looks like Reckless is on top of that. And the Play Rough just straight up misses, and Reckless chose the right Pokemon in the Steel Bug to take that Fairy move.
Yeah, I love this Fortress swap here. The question is, does the Absol also have Taunt?
The Absol does not have Taunt, and it's a very offensive one, so you're not going to see really much it can do there to fight that Fortress. Here comes the Sacred Fire, which attacks physically, so that's why it did so much there to the Blissey. Pretty powerful.
Yeah, we've seen Sacred Fire bite back with the accuracy drop, but you know, its power is undeniable, and that high burn chance getting the Blissey in an awkward situation.
And I love this swap here from Reckless over to the Altaria, protecting the extreme speed. The Rocky Helmet on the Altaria is good there. It did resist a huge crit, though, and there's a Cotton Guard. I think you're going to be able to see a Roost here. Yep, we're going to see a Roost here, and it survives, and the burn doesn't matter too much because you got a Cotton Guard off, and this Entei can't really get through that. Now, one thing it could do is Iron Head, but he chooses to swap over to the Latios. We're going to see a Roost here, and it'll allow the Altaria to get that, but we're going to see a Dragon Pulse here from the Latios to try and force out the fellow Dragon Pokemon in Altaria.
Yeah, I think you just make the swap here. Just get that burn cleared off with the Natural Cure. I'd be interested in Fortress or potentially Blissey if I trust it to survive an attack. We've seen this Latias specially built most times.
Yeah, you really can't build Latias any other way, but it does crit, and the Blissey was already pretty low, and it has Life Orb, so it was probably going to kill there. The problem if you're Reckless, though, is you have to use your Fake out here against Latias, and you really don't have a great way to, fight back once he sends the Absol back out.
Yeah, Brad seems to have lost a bit of his rhythm, getting a bunch of his Pokemon chipped down into this mid game. But he's already taken out half of Reckless's team. The interesting thing I think is going to be going into game 2 if Reckless remembers these counters and gets those Mega Horns off when he needs to.
Yeah, the damage off that Heracross, even with a burn, is just unbelievable. So that was kind of the deciding factor there, as crazy as it is. And we see the Medicham there, interestingly, using Rock Tomb. Not a very commonly used move, but it was very powerful there.
Yeah, and the power of Mega Medicham is undeniable. Reckless is not out of this game. If he keeps switching it in and out to get these fake outs off, he has two walls that are fantastic pivots for this. Is Brad going to be able to make the calls to successfully navigate this or get enough chip damage onto the Medicham to where it will no longer threaten?
And just really bad luck there from Reckless, missing the Toxic. Allows the Sacred Fire to pop in there, and the Entei with Assault Vest, but the Fake Out's not going to do enough, and Extreme Speed should kill this Medicham here. He doesn't press Extreme Speed, and the high jump kick takes down the Entei. That's huge there. And we should see Absol come out here, and you could essentially get off a free Swords Dance. But Reckless might just be pressing high jump kick here, and no, he chooses to swap to Altaria. And he goes for the knockoff, predicting some sort of swap, and there goes the Rocky Helmet. And the interesting part is he'll get a free swap into the Medicham. If Brad swaps off of Absol, that kind of secures the victory.
Yeah, with those rocks, it's not going to do a full 15% to Absol. He's cutting it pretty close here with that chip damage off the Rocky Helm.
And he decides to leave him in, trusting that the Crobat will be able to kill it. And I believe Crobat is faster than Medicham, so this should be the game with a Brave Bird here. Yep, there's the Brave Bird taking the Medicham down in a good game 1. Again, if Reckless can maybe get a little bit more activity out of his Heracross earlier, I think we could see a very different game 2.
Yeah, if he cleans up his early game, the Volt switches were fantastic, but just a few too many early mistakes, losing some key Mons, losing some key offense, just unable to threaten Brad out at the end there.
Going into the next round, sending them the all clear.
Yeah, and I think the big question here is, does Brad lead with the Sableye or not?
Yeah, I think what he had done before, he has Absol. So, I'm not against just sending Absol out here and pressing Sword Stance.
And as far as Reckless, I'd almost be considering leading with the Gengar and just going all out offense. A little risky to go with one of those physical attackers that he has into the Sableye. And he's definitely limited on his special attackers. So it is definitely risky on that end. But aggressive plays win days.
The Gengar, if he chooses the Gengar and it goes into Sableye, he will have to swap. Okay, so he chooses the Heracross. This is actually a great move here because if he presses Megahorn, this will one-tap this Absol. Press Megahorn.
And the question to Brad now is, what can take a Megahorn?
I think Brad is going to press Sucker Punch here. I don't know if he's on top of the fact that this Megahorn is going to kill him, but any Pokemon he swaps in, except for maybe Vaporeon or Entei, but this Megahorn is going to clap. He knows he's Choice Scarfed because of the trick in the previous game. So, or the knockoff, excuse me. So this is going to be a pretty big turn because Brad, if he's on top of the fact that he has a Scarf, he's going to have to pull it now and pull this Absol out. Dark is not good against Heracross. So a Sucker Punch is not going to be a good use of your turn.
If you take note of the Heracross's horn, female Heracrosses have a more heart-shaped horn, as we can see here. If it were a male Heracross, it would be much spikier and more offensive and intimidating.
Thank you for that. I did not know that myself, actually, so thank you. But here comes the close combat. I don't understand what Reckless is doing. It's like he doesn't know that Bug is good against Dark. That's all I can really think of. So that's going to be a crutch here for Reckless because there are several Dark Pokemon on the side of Brad. So this is going to be tough without that knowledge. There's the taunt. It's going to hit. Reckless just running into the same things that he ran into the first game. You really need to take and try to absorb as much as you can from your opponent in that first game so you can make better counterplays in the second.
And Brad notably calling the Volt Switch there, not going for the taunt on the Fortress, going for the Roost, in fact, to drop his flying typing to just take the hit neutrally.
Great move there. Haven't seen a lot of people utilize Roost in that fashion yet, but I like to see it. We see the Gengar here throwing a Focus Blast. Reckless is just striking out here with his move choices. You press Shadow Ball with Gengar. I mean, he is one of the best Shadow Ball users in the entire meta, and you pressed a move that is not only not good against flying Pokemon, but has extremely low accuracy and is not stab.
Exactly my point. I think he may have been over braining it, thinking that Brad would switch here. But Brad's saying this Crobat is a tricky dude. How do you deal with him?
And what's funny is Brad also had an opportunity to swap to a Sableye because Ghost moves aren't good against the Sableye either, and that Focus Blast does not work against Ghosts.
And this time, even switching it up on the Fortress play, expecting the rocks, going for the taunt, getting it off, Sableye into Blissey.
And Sableye can't really do much here besides taunt it, and taunt won't do much against Heracross. And this is one of those scenarios in last game where we saw Megahorn do great damage against Sableye. If this is his opportunity, because he knows it's good against Sableye, we're going to see it right here. And there's the Megahorn one-shotting the Sableye. Incredibly powerful out of the Heracross. That stab Megahorn is just crazy. And this Heracross has guts, everybody. This Heracross has guts. What an unbelievable call by Reckless.
I was so worried and so impressed that he was attacking through the burn. Even tricking me, the announcer, making us go into game 2 without even realizing it. A known gutser, not even holding his own Flame Orb, just saying, you've got Sableye, you're going to do it.
I love it by Reckless. And he finally saw the power of Megahorn again, taking the Sableye from 100% this time to 0. And the Crobat coming back out here, and this may be a good opportunity here for Reckless to get a momentum because Cross Poison is not going to work against Steel.
And unfortunately, I think the only thing this Fortress can do is click the Volt Switch and see if he did it, and he did. A good hit on that Crobat without it using the Roost.
And the Heracross is back out. This Heracross has Scarf. It will outspeed this Crobat, I think. And so I hope he doesn't press close combat. His only real choice, and he chooses to swap it out again. The recoil from the Brave Bird, but the Crobat has Roost. I'm not sure what Reckless is getting at here.
I hope he sees his moment to get the rocks off. Brad's going to be scared and go for the Roost. Or does Brad call it and go for the taunt? Ooh, hard swapping into Entei.
There's the swap into Entei, which will allow the Volt Switch into the Altaria. And I like this opportunity here for Reckless because we saw it before where this Altaria can get pretty tanky pretty quick, but a Stone Edge lands from the Entei. Incredible hit there. Low accuracy move, but at the right time, that Stone Edge comes through and just kills your defensive wall.
Yeah, this is Reckless is paying from getting his Mon a little roughed up in that early game.
And I don't know what you're going for here with the Gengar. You can't kill it. It has Assault Vest. So the Gengar's just gonna die here. Maybe a little bit of a misplay not knowing that Entei wears Assault Vest most of the time. So he sends the Medicham out, and we're going to see the Mega evolve into the Fake Out. There's no Ghost anymore on the side of Brad, so you're pretty free to Fake Out here.
Yeah, he's really going to have to get some progress off this Medicham, and these fake outs are going to be the biggest part of that.
Yeah, the in and out of the Medicham is key to you coming back in this match, and unfortunately, you got to kill this Entei, and he gets it down. He's faster, and it takes it down. That could have been a speed tie there because Medicham's not that fast, but here comes the Crobat. I think you immediately get the Fortress back out there. You got to reset your Fake Out.
Yeah, big deal killing that Entei, allowing his Fortress to really do some work here.
Not only that, but the Heracross too. You're pretty weak to fire in those two Pokemon.
And no one wants to take a physical attack on Blissey.
That's right, especially something like a Sacred Fire or a Stone Edge. And we swap over to the Absol, which allows the Fortress to get it down because the Absol is not Mega Evolved yet. Keep that in mind. It doesn't get Magic Guard till it Mega Evolves. And it bounces back, which doesn't matter with the Steel, but it allows Absol to get a Swords Dance off. He is going to try and sweep here. This is big, and we're going to have to see a Mega Horn. That is all that can be done on the side of Reckless, but he chooses to go with the Medicham for the Fake Out, but after this Fake Out, you just die. I don't like this move here from Reckless. I think you had to go to Heracross and press that Mega Horn.
This is what I was expecting. He's going to throw away the Blissey, which is going to kill his pivot a bit.
The Fake Out is not enough.
Against the Latios, he's not going to, or Latios, whichever one it is, he's not going to be able to pivot it in against the Vaporeon.
Yeah, this is spelling the end here for Reckless, I think. Now, Medicham will be faster than Vaporeon, so you will be able to get some good damage on it with a high jump kick here. But unless he can get this Heracross out there and press Mega Horn, for God's sakes, he still has a chance.
Oh, he definitely does. And notably, the Absol switching in and out, losing its sword stance. Could Medicham survive a hit and just clap it right back?
So the Crobat here, with only 90 attack, but it crits and it kills the Medicham. Unbelievable crit there. But we had the Heracross here. He comes back out. We're going to see a Mega Horn. And, well, he better press Mega Horn, dang it. And he presses Close Combat, sealing his loss in this game. The game is over. It's done. Book it. It's over. You fucked up. God.
Oh, and that Mega Horn just resisted by the Psychic typing of Latias.
I mean, just...
Which the Mega Horn would have hit it super effectively. The Close Combat, not very effective.
I mean,
Oh, man.
We've got a lot of problems here, and one of those is that you got to know your typings, people. You got to know your typings. This is a lesson that no matter how many Pokemon battles you play, you got to know your typings.